find them. And this is why we are here. And sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we think we're here because we have special merit or something. Perhaps we ought to be careful about that. I submit to you that we are here just because we had no merit. Because we were the forgotten people. Because we were the dregs of society. Because we were the people who were being sent into the system, whatever that might be, either jails or rehabs or all this various things, and we're running down and we're getting assistance and we're getting shot up with this and pilled with that and lying around on psychiatrists' couches and blaming everybody for our troubles, drinking and drugging ourselves to death. What was the special merit there? Well, God saw it and we didn't. Because He needed those of us who have been there to be able to speak authoritatively to the people who are still there. That's why we were chosen. Because we can help when no one else can. They will listen to us because we know what they're suffering. That's why we're here. And if we don't understand that, we don't understand the whole thing. We're clueless. And there's so many people running around these rooms who have no clue as to why they're here. And don't want to know. Because it looks like a whole hell of a lot of work. And it is. So what? Get used to it. That's the way it is. That's the way the cow ate the cabbage. We want that wonderful way of life. It means we're going to work for it every single day from now on. No days off. No vacations, no weekends, no thank God it's Friday. You say, thank God it's Friday because I got a great meeting on Friday night. And so, Saturday night used to be down at the hoedown, doing the Cotton Eye Joe and the 10 Pretty Girls, or hunting for the drug man, or whatever it is that we used to do. And here we sit, isn't this amazing? This whole bunch of people were sitting around tonight and we prayed together and we meditated together and we paid a little bit of attention to what some of these basic truths are so that we can incorporate them into our lives. How boring. Do you find that life is now a vale of tears? You know, the big book tells us that we absolutely insist upon enjoying life. And in this meeting, we get to test that out. We have some fun in here because this is, you know, this stuff is important and it's very basic and it's very, very, very solemn in many ways. But we insist upon enjoying life. And we insist that we can now begin to have a life, whereas before we didn't. We just thought we did. People say, get a life. You got to start. Your bright-eyed friends say to you, balance your life, lady. What's the matter? You getting to be some kind of an AA junkie? You just have traded one addiction for the other. And we say, yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe I better balance my life. What does that mean? It means that I'm no longer in a state of surrender. Now I'm going to start deciding for myself how my life is to be. And God, you can just kind of stay out of the way. I mean, I'll pay some lip service to you, God, and I'll get to a meeting now and then, but when it's convenient, when somebody gets up at this podium and says, I'm balancing my life, I give them 6 weeks before they drink again. There can be, you see, again, it's so simple. If we have surrendered, and if it is true that we are allowing God to have our life and our will in His hands, then we must be consistent in that in all the things that we do. And when we do that, we've got a life beyond anything we could ever have womped up for ourselves. I'm telling you this, guys, You could not buy the gifts that God gives us if you had $10 billion. They're not for sale. They're only there to be earned. They will always materialize if we work for them. That's the truth. I want to thank all of you so much. Next week we're going to start our discussion of the 12th step, and we're going to have some fun with that because we're going to get into this whole thing of sponsorship a little bit and kind of talk about what sponsors are and what they aren't and how we go about helping other people. Is any next to the last paragraph on page 452. Acceptance is the key to my relationship with God today. I never just sit and do nothing while waiting for Him to tell me what to do. Rather, I do whatever is in front of me to be done, and I leave the results up to Him. However it turns out, that's God's will for me. And that's from Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul recently died out in California. He was a good friend.
I also heard somebody say of themselves, they stood at the podium, they said, I was judging me by my intentions, and the world was judging me by my actions. And God, that was painful to hear him say that, because I've always been a man of tremendous good intentions. I've always wanted to be a better doctor, a better husband, a better father, better man, better everything. I've always had always been in a let's be a better person business. And when that person said that, I just stripped myself of my intentions and looked just at my actions. And I turned out to be a drunken doctor, a drunken husband, a drunken father, a drunken citizen, a drunken neighbor, just a common, ordinary drunk. And it was painful, but it was very meaningful to me. And one of the things that really clinched it was the time that somebody said, "Good, I spent all this time trying to figure out, is I really or is I ain't?" And I never became a dope fiend either. The dope fiends use dirty needles and buy their drugs on the street, and they'll take anything. I never used anything but clean needles and pure legal drugs that I had stolen from my patients. I never stole any from a patient that needed it worse than I did. I have a body that doesn't react normally to alcohol. When I have one drink, it tends to... I've never had a drink that didn't satisfy me. I take a drink, I feel satisfied. I feel satisfied all over. But in a little while, that drink says, hey, I'm the only one around here who hasn't had a drink. You know? And it wants to drink, and I give that a drink, and then it wants to drink. And I think, well, the easy way to get ahead of that is you have a double. But it can never play catch-up. And so I have a body that when I drink, sometimes, not always, but the longer I drank, the more often it happened, that when I take a drink, it wants another drink and another, and I end up accidentally drunk. That's what I mean when I say I'm an alcoholic. I'm a person who gets accidentally drunk, you know. And so I have a body that can't